Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're with us this morning. Got a big show lined up, but first, as always, let's take a look at our weather for this week. Brought to us by our good friends at Gulf Coast Air Conditioning. Take care of everyday comfort needs. We're looking at a high today of 90, but listen, they're saying it's going to cool off a little bit toward the end of the week, and we're all looking forward to that. Low 75. That's a little sign right there. It hasn't been that low in about 3 or 4 weeks. Our water temperature brought to us by Maranta Coffee Company, Ariel Paints Company. We're looking at right at the end of the pier, 87 degrees right there. Our Monday moon phase brought to us by Panama City Coca-Cola. Saturday night was a new moon, so we just still have dark nights, and it's going to start building up. And we had a full moon coming in about 2 weeks, about 13 days right here. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. Neap tides. We got spoiled last week with a big old strong tides, but neap tides today. Our marine forecast is going to be coming straight out of the northwest at about 5 to 10. It's going to be interesting to see if that cool weather does develop, and I know we're all looking forward to it. So let's take a break and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Glad you're with us. We had some problems here last week with the Fox 28, but it was not. We had a lightning strike up at the main headquarters in Richmond, Virginia. There was nothing that Fox 28 did or did not do, and I know a lot of y'all called me about it. A lot of y'all called our station manager, Shauna. Most of y'all are really, really nice. There's 1 or 2 ugly people, but that's always part of it. But we hope to get it back. I think everything's back on track right now, but it was really a mess, and we appreciate the patience and all the hard work that folks put in. And Jeff was all trying to juggle things around. We were just trying to get it done right. So hopefully, and last week we had some great guests. I had Captain B.J. Burkett, George Cerny on Eastern Shipbuilding. What an interesting show, and just that was special to me on the old shipbuilding, and I really got fascinated with it when I was researching my book, and I know y'all enjoyed it too. Got some comments, and also I wanted to mention one thing. Captain B.J. Burkett, we were talking right at the end of the show. You probably don't remember, but we brought up sharks, and then we ran out of time, like we always do. We get on something interesting, we run out of time. And he was talking about, we closed up right here, we just kept talking. And we're talking about how bad the sharks were this year. And people say that, I've heard it from all different people. And he said, I'll give you a perfect example, Coach, of exactly how bad the sharks were. He said, normally, for my 3 boats, for Hook 'em Up Charters, he has those 3 boats. He said, normally I buy about 700 pounds of lead, and that'll last me the whole season, the whole fishing season. The lead, big old lead to take it down, and of course when the sharks hit the rig, they take the whole rig. He said normally those 700 pounds will take me. He said this year alone, and here it is in August, the season's not over yet, we have used 1,500 pounds of lead. That speaks volumes right there, and that's a barometer as how bad the sharks are in the water this year, and we don't realize it until the veteran and commercial folks like that tell us. And for a fact, Jerry Forehand has said he's fished his whole life. He said never seen this bad. So anyway, it is true. So let's jump on some freshwater pictures. Okay, we got all kind of pictures today. Jerry Wood, he said Donna Peavy Wood in a double-digit club, a 12-pounder. Take a look at this, folks. A 12-pound bass. Is that not? Look at that. Is that not beautiful out there? A Florida bass. That's special. And look at that beautiful piece of water. Okay. Now this is interesting. Mitch Coleman been on the show a lot. Okay, this is interesting. Someone has a boat that belonged to our local legend, Tennessee Chuck. We all knew him. He passed away recently. They don't have a title, but they are keeping it hidden somewhere. Thumbs down. PM me if you have any questions or help us find this boat. It belongs to his family. And let's see. Here's the boat right here. Okay, it's a Carolina skiff. And I know, I'm sure knowing Tennessee Chuck, he loaned, there he is right there. That's a classic picture. That's him on his boat. Got Tennessee on the side. And he had that thing rigged up. He was a fine fisherman and a true legend for Mexico Beach. And I'm sure, knowing him, he loaned it to somebody, and he got sick, and somebody just kept it, which is not nice. But they did get it back to him. So if you've seen this boat, y'all let Mitch Coleman know about it. We're going to get it back to Tennessee Chuck's family. They'd like to keep it. This is Matt Smith. This is interesting now. Matt out there on the water every day. Okay, big trout have to eat all the time, even on warm August afternoons. All right, so you know how hot it's been lately. And they catch a big trout like this, and they release them pretty fast. But that just tells you can catch, even though it's hot, you can still go out fishing in August. You just saw a big bass, you just see a big trout. Fish are still gonna bite in August. They gotta eat. Okay. Okay, the other day I was at this is William Walter's house down in Port St. Joe, and this storm came in. We're looking out toward Cape San Blas, and it just reminded me of that movie, The Perfect Storm. And I've also, like the eye of a hurricane, because it's stormy on both sides. I just had to run back inside and get my phone camera. And I mean, you know how these storms blew in last week. Oh, here it is. I just do a little scan, but don't it, you stop and you can imagine a storm like that. See it lightning all over the place? There's a second house past the Methodist Church. That's where they live now, and it's really a cool place. But I'm just fascinated. St. Joe Bay. I brought this up because St. Joe Bay can get really stormy. Okay, but okay. Let me go ahead and make this announcement right here. Michael Hare sent this. The Southeastern Dog Hunters Association Season of Hope announced the 9th annual, this is cool, we've been to this before, 9th annual Apalachicola National Forest trash cleanup, Saturday, September 27th, from 6:30 Central, or 7:30 Eastern, and you meet at Highway 12 and Forest Road 105. And you can bring your ATV, UTVs, and you get volunteer hours. I know a lot of kids now in school are looking to get volunteer hours, and what a cool way to do it. You're really doing something. Some of them get volunteer hours and don't really get a lot done. Okay, and I love this statement right here. As outdoorswomen, it is our duty to be stewards of the land that we love. In whatever way you enjoy nature and outdoors, we should all share a common goal. Our goal is to ensure that the resources we have are cared for and available for future generations to enjoy. And like I said, we've been to it. There's a numbers there called Michael, Joseph, or Sky, and touch base with them. And we've been to that before. If I've got time, I'd love to go back up there and join them. It's always talking about doing good things, and what a great way, especially getting young people out there and seeing the trash that people throw out. Usually outdoorsmen throwing about in the forest, and shaking their head and picking it up and saying, I don't want to be like that. And that's important. Let's take a break and be right back. Okay, welcome back. I sort of want to reiterate what I was saying earlier about that St. Joe Bay area. It was open, and when that wind's coming out of northeast, it can get really choppy and really dangerous on small boats. And I was talking to a guy, Randy Burling, the other day about how rough it can get on St. Joe Bay. And because it's just the way it's shaped. If you got that north wind, it's sort of blowing all the way down there. So especially, I bring it up because this time of year with all the scallopers, some of them going out in small boats, and it can be dangerous. I'll be out there looking out for people too, the rough weather. And those lightning can come up fast too, as you saw in that storm. Okay, let's jump over from Gulf County to Washington County. I know y'all probably seen this in the news. Sort of been, J.B. Hillard sent it to me. County considers boathouse ordinance. So what's going on? There's a lot of houseboats. The commissioners are adopting an ordinance that would address floating structures, is what they call them. This is interesting. There are no state or county restrictions regulating these structures or permitting in place. So the FWC says FWC has no enforcement of it because there's no regulation. And that's why they're having these discussions. So anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what's happening. And I can see both sides of it. I know over here at Howard Creek, where I see a lot of houseboats, folks use those houseboats every weekend. Somebody there or right away to take care of them. I mean, they may not look like Taj Mahal, but they're houseboats on the river. They look like they're supposed to look like. And but what is bad when they're abandoned and they leave it there, it becomes an eyesore, holding sideways, and just really junky looking. And we don't want that to happen. So you see what's going on there. So okay, let's move on. This was interesting. FWC put this out. If you see any of these rare rainbow snakes, please let them know about it. I don't know if I've ever seen one, and you probably wouldn't really think much about it. They're sort of semi-aquatic, and they feed on eels. And it's just the research scientists at the Fish and Wildlife Research Institute. Every sighting is important. So that's interesting. They're really pretty snakes. They'll be screaming. But he goes on down and talk about they found on or near water, river, springs, brackish marshes, and it used to be in all over Glades County, but I don't know if they ended up this way anyway. But just interesting. I think I showed this picture the other day about when you end up a scalding trip, you just throw all the things up there to dry out. All right, jump in on these. This was the old fish camp. We always talk about the old wooden boats, and I ran across this. It'd be nice, okay, exactly what I said. I remember these boats, but they faded away pretty quickly. It would be nice to reproduce one, and we'll talk about that. And this is 1964. This is over in Escambia County, and it has some good feedback on it, but this is a typical throughout, not just here in northwest Florida, down around the St. Johns River, all through that area. People built the boats just like this. And what's funny, a lot of times they'd leave them in the water and they would just take on water. You have to sort of dump them out. But some of them had a bow like that, and then some had a sort of a little square bow. But most of them had I'm looking right here. See, I just saw that. See the back of this stern? You see that notch? Wow, that's an original one. That was for sculling. Can y'all see it? It's right there in the middle of the screen, right there, little notch in that. How cool is that? And there's one over here, another one too. I hadn't noticed that before. Right there in the middle of the screen. That's a notch where you put your oar in it and you will scull. Of course, that's a lost art now because of trolling motors. And some are a little more narrow. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Talking about Gulf Coast Air Conditioning, one of our big sponsors, been with us, supported us for a long time. He takes his group out and they swatch HVAC for casting lines on a team fishing trip. Great weather, great crew. And look at the size of those snapper. Look at the crews out there. But look at the size of those snapper. Those are huge. I know that a great time, a fun time, catching a snapper. Good job. Okay. Okay. This is me, and also I think some of y'all go buy $2,000 worth of hunting gear, won't think twice about it, it's happy. But then you see a shirt, $25 a dress shirt? That's too expensive. I think y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, I made a huge to-do list for today. I just can't figure out who's going to do it. All right, moving on. Florida Wildlife, the old magazine, and some of y'all, a lot of y'all probably remember, and as a kid, I love this magazine. It was 25 cents. This was 1963, but someone put this up. They had an original copy of it. And it was brought up, it was talking about duck hunting. You have the pintail, the mallard, the wood duck, and ringneck. Okay, that's a mallard top left, a pintail top right. Okay, the bluebill right here, that was a very proficient, and then the wood duck, male and female of each species. I just thought, as a kid, I thought this was really cool stuff, and good painting. Okay, then moving on. We're talking about the redfish tournament, the Emerald Coast Redfish Circuit, and Kevin Eifert, the Eifert brothers. Joe Myers and his son won it. Now, I got to get Joe on the show, Here, I looked at the weights and all. First place, Joe Myers, Ethan Myers, got a total of 11 pounds. Going down to, I'm looking for names to recognize. Number 6, how about Carter Myers and Fred Myers, 8.2 pounds. Then the Nelsons, Ken Coob. Okay, number 10, Kevin Eifert and Dennis Eifert. Got a 3-pounder and a 2-pounder and a 5.96 pounds. So they did really good. But and you look, the last 5 or 6 people didn't catch anything, so don't feel bad. In fact, look at number 15, poor little Braden Harris, who's a heck of a fisherman. They didn't catch anything. They caught plenty of them, they just weren't big enough to weigh in. So that happens. These are some top-notch fishermen catching that. So anyway, a lot of times, you know, you go fishing, sometimes you flat out get skunked. I don't care how good you are. And we were talking to J.B. Hiller not too long ago, he got skunked. As much fish as he catches. So don't feel bad when you get skunked, when you don't get anything. But really, that Emerald Coast Redfish Circuit, good little, they do different areas and all on the Emerald Coast, and I really am impressed with their organization, and these guys get out there and girls just enjoy the fishing part. Let's take a break, we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Let's take a quick look at our fishing game times today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. How about 1:14 to 3:14 this morning, and 1:34 to 3:34 this evening. We are talking about all kinds of things, and one of the things I like to share when people do different things for the environment, all the good positive things like the trash cleanup on Apalachicola National Forest, but also talk about the natural occurrences. You know, I mentioned earlier, about 2 weeks ago, about the late summer mayfly hatch. It's always interesting up and down the river, and lo and behold, guess who sends me a picture? How about Billy Grantham, late season mayfly hatch on Lake Seminole, okay? Are you talking about a fun lake to fish, the fly fish right there? You get in up against those edges right there out of the wind and get a mayfly hatch, and it's not gonna last but a day or two. But that's, you know, when we talk about things and then actually get proof of it, it's always cool. So thank you, my buddy Billy Grantham, our buddy Billy Grantham. Okay, this is fire, okay? This is control burn. This is interesting. This is Yvette Weathers sent this to me, and she said this: the Panhandle Outdoors website email doesn't appear to have a feature for sharing pictures. So share by text. So that's fine, folks. If you want to send me pictures, just text them with my number there. And knowing that you frequently share Nature Conservancy content, we thought these 2 photos, before and after, could provide good educational material. My husband was working adjacent to St. Andrews. So this is Yvette Weathers, and this is a controlled burn right there. And you see, you know, it gets really strong, and it really takes care of that underbrush and that growth. Okay, and so that's the before picture. Okay, how about the after picture, same spot? Is that not cool? Where's that big buck right there? Is that not cool? At the St. Andrews State Park, he's protected and he's in good shape, and all this growth is start coming back. The palmettos, I always get tickled at the palmettos because they're so resilient. They can just live through anything. But you look how they open up the woods. And I know a lot of y'all will talk about controlled burns, but this is a great example. And Yvette, thank you for sending that to me. In fact, also she asked to be in the drawing, so I'll put her name here, and you're in the drawing, okay? So I'll check you up right there. So thank you for sharing that Nature Conservancy picture right there. I just think that is really cool. Okay. We're talking about all things that happen. The best toys for the world's best toys: sticks, dirt, rocks, buckets, and water. As a kid just not happy, put him inside the water and give him those sticks, and he's in good shape. I thought you would enjoy that one. And we talked about the big roundup on a python, and I didn't show you a picture of the longest one. The one that won the longest was 15 feet, 11 inches. That is a long one, right? 15 feet, 11 inches. Can you imagine that? Right there in the Everglades. Oh, well, that's right at 16 feet. And this is the girl that won. I showed you her picture, but actually, she's only 4'11", but she took home $10,000 for catching those 60 snakes. I thought that was cool. Talking about J.B. Hillard, we've talked about this all summer, catching mullet, and people have asked me about it. I've got them in contact with J.B., and mullet boats were all over the place this morning. The word got out. And listen to this, they did not hit them until the third hole. We're talking about, fishing and just keep moving around. It was really slow for me. I think I got 5 and partner got the rest. But he had a chum bag on his end of the boat, and that darn thing apparently worked. He got the bites. I had a report from a friend on the spot. We did not fish, and they got 65. But anyway, I want to speak a minute about those chum bags. They're so important, especially you get into a hole. I always talking about fishing tips, but put that chum bag in there, and especially with a mullet. And at the end of your dock or something, you want to bring in some fish and all those chum bags. That's a classic. That's almost a scientific study where he's catching them on one end of the boat, and the guy on the other end, JB, are not catching them. Why? Because that chum bag was there. So thank you, JB, for sharing that with us. Let's jump to a good picture here of Liberty County. I love this. This is out on Bluff, which is an old historic site. Well, I'm always showing pictures of the bay and the Gulf and all at sunrise and sunset, but it's beautiful in the woods and on the water, the Apalachicola River. Okay, and also I got this text right here from Mark Griffith. Do y'all sell ball caps with your logo in it? We did, Mark, we did. And it just got to, I personally don't have time, Gail don't have time. I would love to sell a lot of these caps. I would love for folks to have them. And the guy that's helping me out, he had to sort of retire from it. And I'd like to get it ordered in maybe for Christmas and see what we do. Maybe get somebody to help me ship them all. And the doggone shipping expenses have gotten so high, I feel almost guilty for charging people. But we'll see what we can do, okay? So I would like to get something out for Christmas. One last announcement real quick. Eglin Air Force Base, this is the closed part of it. I won't go into all the details. All you folks over there around Choctaw Bay know about it, but here's a picture, okay? The blue is standard access, you have a permit, but the red is permanently closed, but you have to get a permit, just like you do here at Tyndall. You get a permit, I think it's $20, but you got to get those permits, especially on the military bases, and we understand that. And I sportsmen, you can get it all through there. Got to wrap it up. Have a lot of stuff. Got some good shows coming up this week, and looking forward to bringing you the best we can in beautiful Florida Panhandle. Y'all do something good for someone else today. Enjoy the great outdoors, and let's take care of it. And God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.